A few weeks ago, I was in Uganda for the first time. I stayed there for 7 days and was pretty much all over the place. I went to Murchison, Windi, Entebbe, and of course, Kampala. By the time I arrived in Kampala, though, it was so late. I was coming from Windi. Windi is like in the south of Uganda. It's right on the border with Rwanda. I stayed at this hotel called Le Petit Village Hotel. I booked a business suite. It was $460 for 2 nights, including breakfast for 2. I made the booking on their official website, but you can also book on booking.com. You can find a lot of information on Google if you just type in Le Petit Village Hotel. The room was great. It was very clean, and the customer service was excellent. The staff were so friendly. The location is also very good. It was really easy to get to a lot of places, like the places I really wanted to go to in Kampala. So, when I was telling some of my friends and colleagues that I was going to Uganda for a holiday, I got asked the same questions like the ones I got when I was going to Namibia. They were like, why are you going there? Or who goes to Uganda for a holiday? Well, me. I do, and given another chance to, I'll go again. Why, you ask? Well, keep watching. This hotel room had a balcony as well. It's a shame I didn't have enough time to enjoy it. Since I arrived, it was so late, the first priority was to just get some food. The hotel does have some restaurants, and you also get a menu in your room. I went to this restaurant called Hanabi Modern Japanese. Now, before you start commenting that I didn't try out Ugandan food, well, I did in the other places I visited like Murchison, Bwindi, and everywhere in between. So the Ugandan food I tried would be in other videos, but in Kampala, I also wanted to see what other diverse food options were available. I actually do consider food diversity when I'm rating cities because I don't always enjoy the local dishes. And when a city has international foods, which I'm familiar with, I can still enjoy the trip without feeling deprived. Sometimes I love the local food, but after eating it for days, I eventually just want something different. And that's why food variety really matters to me. So yeah, this restaurant was serving typical Japanese food. You know, the type you can find in most restaurants like sushi, ramen, tempura, and more. The quality was really good though. I have to say, the sushi rolls I tried, they were the best I've ever had. I guess using some of the local ingredients has something to do with it because this sushi had avocados in it, and avocados do taste a bit different in Uganda. I also tried out some seafood ramen, and the amount of actual seafood in the ramen was a lot. I liked the texture of the noodles. I thought they were cooked to perfection, but I didn't really like the broth. It had some squid, which was really hard to chew. I wouldn't really order this seafood ramen again in this restaurant. But I do recommend the sushi rolls. I actually went back to this restaurant the next day just to get the sushi rolls. So that should tell you everything. And I don't know what kind of egg was in the ramen. It just had this weird shape to it. The hotel also has a supermarket, so you can find a lot of international food like cured meats, local produce, wine, and a really decent variety of cheese. I don't think I've ever been to a hotel with an actual supermarket. I mean, yeah, some would have like a shop, but not an actual supermarket where you can find so many things like wine, sauces, I don't know, just a bunch of other things. And I really like this idea because it's so handy, especially if you arrive so late at the hotel and you need something like maybe, I don't know, maybe you forgot some toothpaste or something, or you just need some fruits. Since I arrived at the hotel so late, I didn't get a chance to see what it really looks like outside in daylight until the next morning. I mean, I saw some pictures, but you can't really compare with what it really looks like in real life. It's simply beautiful. It's exactly my vibe. I love being surrounded by nature, but still having access to modern facilities. So, the hotel does have a gym as well. Apparently, it's open 24 hours. One thing though, I woke up really early because somebody was preaching really loud on a megaphone at like 6 a.m. So yeah, you will hear some noise from the city. The hotel also does have a spa facility, but it's only available within a time frame. I didn't have enough time to try it out, so once I left my room, I went straight to get some breakfast. Then I got my hair done actually, so yeah, I got my hair done in Kampala. And after that, I went to explore the city of Kampala, and I didn't get back until like late at night. This is the breakfast that's included in the hotel room price. It's not one of those typical hotel breakfast buffets. You get to choose from a menu. I think I ordered avocado and toast. I don't remember the exact order, but it was to do with avocados. And my travel partner, he chose some beef bacon and eggs, but it also came with chips and some kind of like steak. But I tried it was actually really good as well. Normally, I don't like avocados, but I tried out the Ugandan ones anyway. And I think my face says it all. After breakfast, I went to this salon. So the hotel also has a salon. And I saw an opportunity to get my hair done. It's just so hard to find a proper salon for afro hair in Europe. And if you do find one with nice decor like this, it's usually just so unaffordable. So when I saw the price list for this, I was like, well, I might as well get it done. So they took out the braids I had, washed my hair, braided it. I got knotless braids done. It all came up to like 100 euros. This was including the extensions and the tip. So 100 euros is normally what I pay for just for the knotless braids. And I pretty much have to work as well because I usually have to help out with the sectioning and preparing of the extensions for the braider because it's usually just one person braiding and it takes ages, like 7 to 8 hours. But in this salon, they had like 3 people working on me and the whole process took about 3 hours. Also, shout out to the ladies. They were so nice, friendly, and really gentle when they were braiding my hair. I actually fell asleep. That's never happened before. They even went out of their way to get pillows for me just so I could rest. I would definitely fly back to Kampala just to have this experience again. And I absolutely loved the braids. This was the final look. Once the hair was sorted, I got a taxi to finally see the city. It's a very busy city, a huge contrast to Windhoek in Namibia. Windhoek was so quiet, there was hardly anybody out. But Kampala is so wild. I can't even imagine driving in this city. You have the motorbikes coming out of nowhere and everywhere. I mean, with the traffic, you can't even tell whether they drive on the left or on the right, especially on this street. But somehow, it's flowing perfectly. If any Ugandans from Kampala are watching, do you drive by faith or is there a highway code on how to navigate through this? How does it work? Please let me know in the comments down below. First stop in the city center, we went to Uganda National Mosque. It was previously called Gaddafi National Mosque. Both men and women have to cover up to enter the mosque. But if you haven't, the tourist office can provide you something to wear. For women, you have to wear a headscarf. Here's me for hijab. This was like my first time wearing a hijab. So my travel partner really wanted to visit this mosque because he was complaining about how we always visit really beautiful churches in Europe, but we don't really go on trips to places with very beautiful mosques like this one. So here we were. The architecture style appears to be a mix of Ottoman, Moorish, and other North African styles. The chandelier styles and the large centralized dome is very Ottoman, but the colors seem a bit Moorish or North African. If you're wondering why these styles were used, when after all this is Uganda, they do have their own traditional architecture, which I'll get to in a minute. Well, the reason why these styles were used is because of who funded the mosque. It was Muammar Gaddafi. As you know, Gaddafi was Libyan, and Libya was part of the Ottoman Empire, so the architecture does reflect the Libya Ottoman legacy. Basically, the idea of a national mosque in Uganda came long before Gaddafi. The Ugandan Muslim communities were trying to get one for decades because Christians had large cathedrals, strong institutional presence, and Muslims didn't have the same. So the Ugandan former president Idi Amin, he promised a large mosque, but after his government fell, the building remained unfinished for over 20 years. So in the early 2000s, Muslim leaders approached Gaddafi for support. And this is what Gaddafi did anyway. He supported Muslim communities and he sponsored major Islamic buildings abroad. So he ended up funding this mosque. So as I said, it used to be called Gaddafi National Mosque, but after Gaddafi's fall, it was renamed to Uganda National Mosque. Apparently because the Libyan government, it stopped funding its maintenance after Gaddafi, so they didn't see fit to still have his name tied to the largest mosque in Uganda, possibly East Africa too. This mosque has capacity of just over 19,000 people, and the construction actually started in 1972. It was completed in 2006, and the name change was done in 2013. The mosque also gives you an opportunity to go up its tower and see the panoramic view of Kampala. Just so you know, you can't go to the mosque to pray, but if you're going as a tourist, you have to go through the tourist office. There's a fee. It was about $7 or so. And they do give you a guide, and you go around the mosque with the guide. Our guide was so lovely as well, so that was a really good experience. Remember I was going on about Ugandan traditional architecture? Well, this is some of it. These are the Kasubi Tombs. These are the royal burial grounds for Buganda kings. Well, Buganda is the largest and most influential traditional kingdom in Uganda. It's centered around Kampala. It has existed for centuries and it's home to the Baganda people. The Baganda people have a rich culture built on clans, royal traditions, and strong community identity. And Buganda's history, language, and customs continue to play a major role in Uganda's national identity. And yeah, you guessed it, the name Uganda does come from Buganda. Basically, when the colonizers arrived, they were mainly interacting with the Bagandans, as they had most of the powerful kingdom in the region. And as per usual, they started referring to the wider region as Uganda. So Uganda stuck with a lot of people, and after independence, the wider region was called Uganda. So here, you also enter with a tour guide. The entrance fee is about $20 for foreigners, and you get to learn about the history of the Buganda kingdom and the kings who are buried here. These tombs are a World Heritage Site because the tradition does carry on. The kings are called kabakas. They're more like the custodians of culture in these days. Their power is symbolic, and they do not have any political authority in the Ugandan government. I also learned that women can walk out of the tombs normally, but men have to walk out backwards. This is to show respect to the spirits, and apparently women do have different roles in the rituals. That's why they can walk out normally. They also have this souvenir shop, so you can take a small piece of Uganda with you when you're going home. I do highly recommend this tour if you want to understand a part of Uganda's identity and culture. As you drive around the city, you will see some statues representing the clan totems of the Baganda people. Each clan has a totem, usually an animal or plant, and it's actually a taboo to eat or harm your clan's totem. So if your clan's totem is a goat, you can't eat a goat. Some streets are also named after these clans, reflecting their historical presence in that area. Next stop was the Royal Palace. This is the Mengo Palace of Kampala. It's the home to the Kabaka of Buganda. So, one of the kings, Daudi Chwa II, was inspired by British palaces when he visited England, and so he ended up mixing the British palace style with the traditional Buganda designs, and he ended up building this palace. However, in 1971, the former president Idi Amin, he took over the palace. It was part of his broader effort to assert control over the Buganda kingdom. And outside the palace, there is a damaged car. It's on display. It's a reminder of Uganda's turbulent past. If you don't know much about Idi Amin's regime, I recommend that you do proper research. The thing is, my first introduction of Uganda was me learning about his regime, and I was only about 7 to 8 years old. I had nightmares after, but most people I spoke to in Uganda seemed to support him. Our guide insisted that we see the torture chambers Idi Amin was using to torture people. It's important that we learn what not to do again from the past, but this was just so horrific I couldn't actually finish the tour. I wanted to check out the malls as well because I wanted to see what Kampala has to offer. But by the time I finished with the tours, most of the things were closed already. And some things were still open, but for the most part, a lot of things were closed. Just at the mall though, because there was still a lot of people out. This is the Arena Mall. It was the closest to the hotel, so I thought, okay, let me just take a look. So yeah, the mall does have a lot of decent shops, restaurants, and you can pretty much find anything. And of course, The interior design is nice. Unfortunately, due to delays of my flight when I was flying to Uganda, I lost an extra day, which I was planning to spend in Kampala. I was also traveling around the rest of the country, so hotels, transfers, and tours, they were already booked, so I just decided to spend one less day in Kampala instead of like canceling some of the other locations, because in Kampala I didn't have like a set tour. So I arrived a day later than I planned in Kampala. So really, I just had one full day to see as much as I could. I know the city has a lot more to offer. There are a lot of things I wanted to see, but didn't have the time. So one day is nowhere near enough to actually like see the city and enjoy it fully, in my opinion. Overall, I think the city is cool and a bit chaotic, but I liked it. The people came off as really reserved, which I really wasn't expecting. I don't know, maybe because all of the Ugandans I know outside of Uganda, they're all social butterflies. So maybe that's why I thought a lot of them are like that. But for the most part, a lot of people came off as reserved and really polite. So this ice cream parlor or cafe was still opened. I didn't even want ice cream, but it looked so nice. So I thought, why not? So I ended up getting a scoop. It was very nice though. And shout out to Sharon. I met her in Doha. She's from Kampala. She's one of those social butterflies I was talking about. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.